Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.
Founded on the principles of inclusivity, empowerment and positivity, I Am Beauty sponsors Robin Elliott tonight.
Good evening, and welcome along to Robin Elliott tonight. Good to have your company with us once again this evening. What a lineup we've got on the show tonight. Broadcasting legend George Jones is going to be with us in the studio. We'll also be talking to the world's fastest woman, well, she was at one stage. Team GB Olympic legend Katharine Mary is going to be with us. We'll have music from singer-songwriter Brad Henshaw, and wait for this one, we'll have the 6 times World Gravy Wrestling Champion Joel Hicks is on the show. What are you laughing for? He does exist. He's on the show this evening, but let's get things started with this week's big talking points. To help us do it, Mr Showbiz himself, Paul Martin. How are you?
No gravy included, I assume. No gravy for us.
Would you have a go at the World Gravy Wrestling Championships?
No. Would you?
I've been challenged to do it next year.
Robin, you have to do that. That is like, this is the new level of reality TV.
Could you imagine me and you commentating on the World Gravy Wrestling Championships?
I would commentate on you doing it.
I bet you would,
I would do it for free, no problem. Wow, I'm hanging around here for the rest of the show.
Right, big talking points this week. Something that's annoying me, on my phone apps, right? I couldn't find the little bird to find my Twitter.
Where's it gone?
Where's it gone? A big X has appeared instead. What is going on?
It's flown away.
Yeah.
It's Elon Musk's fault. Everything in the world is Elon Musk's fault, right? I have to be honest. I think I said this on the radio show last Saturday. He is currently the most irritating person on the planet that I am aware of.
Yeah.
Right? He has far too much money. He keeps messing around with Twitter. He said he wasn't going to do that much with it. As soon as he came in, of course, he took my legitimate bird away, and started selling them off, didn't he? Well, he's gone better now, as you said. It is now X, isn't it? And we're going to be talking about the X-Files very soon. This is a man with money to burn, Robin, my kind of guy, actually, in this one regard. He's actually put out a statement saying, now, you know all the people who get in trouble for tweeting bad things against company policy? There's a lot of people who have lost a lot of jobs over Twitter, or X as it now is called. He's put out an incredible statement. I'm stunned by this. You can see it here, actually. It says, if his platform will fund legal bills if users get in trouble at work for something they've liked or posted, in other words, got sacked. Right?
So these legal bills...
Elon Musk will pay your legal bills.
Is it going to run into millions and millions of pounds?
And the rest. Now, will he actually do this? It gets better, though, right? Okay, so when you dig a little bit deeper here, he's added to this, right? He's not even resting there. He says, if that sounds like one of those TV ads about a lawyer claim, doesn't it? If you were unfairly treated by your employer due to posting or liking something on this platform, whatever it's called this week, we will fund your legal bill. Quote unquote, we will fund your legal bill. He added, this is amazing, there was no upper limit. Of course there's not with Elon Musk. He blasts rockets into space at 800 million, only for them to fizzle out like a firework with Guy Fawkes. There is no upper limit to how much the company would pay. I just find this astounding. And encouraged people, Robin, to share their stories. I'm going to have to go back and find some dodgy tweet that I once did and say that I lost a job because of it. There's money in this. There is money in this, folks.
Exactly. Well, I want to know the first person who actually puts the claim in. Get in touch with us and tell us you're doing it. I want to meet this person.
Yeah, I'll be here.
It'll be you. Right, I was on your radio show the other week.
You are.
And we were talking about...
Causing carnage, as always.
We were talking about UFOs.
Well, Robin...
And since that show... Somebody has come up with this interactive map thing, haven't they?
This is great. I'm very proud to be a former Mirror journalist. Not that I wanted to be a former Mirror journalist, but the Mirror have done a great job here, as you can see. It's brilliant. You should go online and have a look, right? They've done a great job here. They've basically done a map, an interactive map,
right?
Okay, of all the UFO sightings in the last year and a half. There's one that they haven't included, I'm going to tell you about in a minute, which you'll be very upset about. And you can go into the Mirror and type in your postcode, and then on a map comes up, this is the bad bit, these little green, luminous green spacecrafts. We've really moved on from the Senate, haven't we? And, really making this a really serious thing. interestingly, 12 in Northern Ireland, right?
Right.
And actually, there's one in Downpatrick. They're talking about, you could literally see the time, the location, and what was actually seen. So
Right.
a cigar-shaped object with flashing lights disappearing swiftly off into the night. It's all very dramatic.
It
right?
is, isn't it?
But there is one problem with this.
Yes.
You're right. And this is the revelation you brought to our PM on Saturday show a couple of weeks ago. The Bangor Marina alien landing is not on the map.
Now this
It's
came
not
about,
there.
I got my hands on secret government documents.
He did.
Right, I did actually, I did.
This is before the Senate. This is why the Senate happened, folks.
Secret government documents that detail everybody in the country who's got in touch with the police, right, and reported UFO sightings. The best one of all is the guy. I can't help laughing, but I want to meet this man, I really do. This guy got abducted by aliens, flown through the air, and dumped at Bangor Marina. Right? This is what this guy
I
claimed.
walked into the PSNI station to tell them I'd been delivered by aliens to Bangor Marina. Take me to your leader, basically, right?
Basically.
Well, it's not in the mirror.
It's not on there.
It's not on there, but it is worth looking at, Robin. Actually,
I think so.
Get on there, Google it, see if there's been any aliens here.
I think there's a program in this for us.
We've been talking about this on the show
I think
a
there
lot.
is.
If anybody's watching, not to steal your listeners
Yes.
or your viewers,
Yes.
get in touch with Robin or I. We want to hear about it. We believe, and even the Senate believes now.
Well,
there's more
exactly,
coming
yes.
out. We're believers, right?
The truth is out there.
And it's out at Bangor Marina, just to be specific. There
And
you
if
go.
that man in Bangor is watching, please email, phone.
Please.
RobinElliottTonight@gmail.com. Email me now.
Take us to your leader.
One more. What have you got?
I don't have anything more actually, but I was going to say
The running woman.
Oh, well, this is actually true. We do actually have one more. You see,
You got carried away by the UFOs
this is when you throw aliens into the mix with us, and you'll know this if you listen to the show on a Saturday. All hell breaks loose, and I celebrate that. You have the fastest woman on today, right?
Yes.
Later on. Well, this has been going viral. Have you ever wondered? I do it all the time. You watch the World Cup, you watch the things, you think, oh, no, I could do that. I could play Wimbledon. I could hit a ball back. This is proof that you can't.
Yeah.
Right. This woman has broken the record for the slowest 100 meters ever. She still hasn't finished it since I remembered that we actually have another story. It took her 20 seconds. What's she sludging in here? 20 seconds to finish the 100-meter race. It was so bad, okay, she's from Somalia. Their sports minister had to publicly apologise and order that the chairwoman of the National Track and Field Association stand down. And it later emerged that they didn't even know who the 20-year-old was or what training she had done, but they just stuck her in to this massive global pre-Olympic campaign anyway to run the 100 meters slower than you and I would coming out of the pub on a Friday night.
Exactly, yes, yeah.
Especially if we saw aliens coming out.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And also talking about challenges and sport, the World Gravy Wrestling Championships are coming as well.
Oh, Bisto is all I can say to that.
Exactly. We'll see you back here same time next week.
See you then.
Thank you. Now, Northern Ireland is Screen are on the lookout for new storytellers, and they've introduced a new development scheme called Creative Industries New Entrants, a teaching, learning, mentorship and support programme created to broaden access to the creative industries at entry level. Funded by the Department for Communities and working in partnership with BBC Northern Ireland and Northern Ireland Screen, the scheme is helping to identify new talent to support them into the screen and creative industries. So over the past few weeks here at NVTV, we've been working with a group of cine participants, and this week they caught up with the guys at Northern Ireland at Chest, Heart and Stroke to find out about their latest health campaign.
Northern Ireland Chest, Heart and Stroke is a charity that deals with people who have illnesses and conditions associated with the chest and the heart and the stroke. And obviously one of the major conditions that affects the chest is asthma.
I was diagnosed at birth, and I had a lot of infections in my lungs and things like that there. So I've had it all my life, and I've never really known any difference. And sometimes going upstairs with loads amount of gear and equipment can be difficult. You have to take it slow, and it's not even just daily things like that. The weather can affect it. You know, if it's too warm outside, it can be really hard to breathe.
Asthma can be a very serious condition. Asthma is obviously a chronic condition, but there are about 1 in 10 people in Northern Ireland suffering from asthma. That includes about 36,000 children. And where we have figures, most up-to-date figures, which were collated in 2021, there were 35 deaths associated with asthma. That's how serious it is. There are numerous hospital admissions associated with asthma, in the thousands every year, and we want to try and eradicate that and ensure that that becomes something of the past.
It's kind of treated as very low down in medical spectrum, and more people should be aware of it and should be more conscious of people who have it.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise awareness of asthma, raise awareness of the dangers of asthma, but educate people in a way that will help them to deal with their illness and ensure that none of these deaths happen in the future. We also have a number of publications and media reports which are highlighting the campaign and ensuring that we're getting the message out there that we're trying to say that correct inhaler use and proper treatment of asthma will prevent acute illness and prevent deaths going forward.
Going through things like, showing people how to use their inhalers and things like that. I know personally I get in trouble a lot with my GP whenever I go in because they always tell me I'm doing it wrong, but as long as people know how to use it and people are aware, it is a very deadly thing whenever it's untreated. So it's great that people are making awareness of it.
Along with trying to teach the individuals themselves, the young people and their parents, we're also trying to ensure that the physicians and the healthcare professionals know about the condition as well, and we're trying to do as much as we can to ensure that that people will be educated in how to use their medication properly.
Right, on the way shortly, we'll be chatting to Joel Hicks, who is the 6-time world gravy wrestling champion. We'll find out about this year's championships, and we'll be talking to the fastest woman in the world. Olympic legend Katharine is with us right after these.
Founded on the principles of inclusivity, empowerment and positivity, I Am Beauty sponsors Robin Elliott Tonight.
Heading to the North Coast, the Jet Centre in Coleraine offers entertainment for everyone. There's an 8-screen movie house cinema with all the best movies, 10-pin bowling, a massive arcade, soft play for the wee ones. Outdoors, there's a mini fun park and gem mining, plus an 18-hole floodlit mini golf course. Rain or shine, there's something for everyone here at the Jet Centre. Find out more at thejetcentre.co.uk.
Founded on the principles of inclusivity, empowerment and positivity, I Am Beauty sponsors Robin Elliott Tonight.
Now, the school holidays are upon us, and according to some new research from Ordnance Survey, they're saying that 85% of parents are looking for low-cost ways to keep their kids active and entertained during the school holidays. Now, former Team GB Olympic sprinter and mum of 2, Katharine, is on a mission to get kids off their phones, off their tablets, and out and about enjoying the countryside. Let's find out more because Katharine joins us now. How are you today?
I'm really, really good, Robin. Really, really good. Thank you.
So how's the summer holidays going for you then?
You know what, Robin? I've got 2 children and I work. So it's as busy as most the parents, and they're going to be nodding at home going, yeah, Kath gets it. It's been busy and I've got to keep them entertained. And I always need to look and find ways to keep my 2 children entertained. And that's why the National Map Reading Week, the Ordnance Survey are doing from Monday next week is an absolute, it's a no-brainer. I can't wait to get involved, get my kids outside and have a bit of fun over the summer holidays, Robin.
Now, I thought these days with sat-navs and mobile phones and stuff like that nobody needs a good old-fashioned paper map anymore.
Oh, Robin, yes, they do. What happens when your battery runs out? What happens if you drop your phone, Robin? These are the things that people nowadays need to realise. You need to have basic map reading skills. Honestly, it is so important. And this initiative emphasizes how important it is, problem solving, critical thinking, giving my kids a map and saying, where do you want to go today, kids, and how are we going to get there? Teaches them things that are basic map reading skills that are so important. So yeah, we have technology, but we always need to have a backup to that. And this initiative, because there's 85% of parents, Robin, that are already looking for ways of low-cost ways to keep their kids entertained throughout the summer holidays. I'm one of them. And this is a brilliant initiative. So no, it's a fabulous, it's inspiring people of all ages to get outside, get involved and discover what's around them, Robin. How many places do we not know that are on our doorstep throughout the UK? And the OS Map app, which covers Northern Ireland as well, will give you lots and lots of different places to explore together with your family.
So with so many more people staying at home this year, there's a lot more opportunity to get out and enjoy the countryside and see what's around us, isn't there?
There is. There's so much that we don't know about. There's so much that we can see. There's so much. Every parent at this moment in time is looking for ways to do things on with less money involved, shall we say, Robin. It's hard for a lot of people. And there's so much that goes on in the UK that we don't know about and we need to explore. And I've got a hit list over the summer of places that my kids want to go to and want to walk around. And this is a brilliant way of teaching them life skills at the same time as of having some family time and getting outdoors. And also the OS Map reading qualification, the test as well, that you can actually test your map reading skills. Robin, how good are you at reading a map? Do you understand what the symbols mean?
Well, I haven't looked at a map for many years. I really need to do it, don't I?
Yeah, if you get on the getoutside.co.uk website, you might not do very well on the test, Robin, but then you can swat up and come back and try again. Exactly.
Now, tell us about Sean the sheep, because he's involved in this project. Kids love Sean, adults love Sean. What's he up to then?
Who doesn't love Sean the sheep, Robin? Do you know what I mean? Of any age, not just my young daughter, right? And OS have added 8, not 5, 6, 7, 8 new Sean the Sheep countryside code walks throughout the whole of the UK, from South Downs to Cornwall. Again, find out where your Sean the Sheep walk is on the getoutside.co.uk website. And basically, it's walks that are completely obstacle free, Robin. So if you have push chairs, if you have wheelchair users, these are the way to go throughout the summer. And who knows better than the countryside than Sean the sheep? You know, he lives on a farm, he knows what to do in the countryside. And these walks are an absolute brilliant addition around England and Wales. And again, the app will tell you all the details, and it's an easy to use app. I've already found the 2 that my daughter wants to do. So I'm looking forward to following Sean's advice and getting out and about on these walks.
Now, since I have you on the show today, we've got to talk about the Olympics, because we're only 1 year away from Paris, aren't we?
I know. How exciting is this, Rob? I can't believe it's so funny, because the Tokyo Olympics obviously got delayed because of COVID. We did it in 2021. Then all of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, we're on another Olympic cycle. I can't wait. I genuinely can't wait. The state of British sport at the moment in so many sporting disciplines is so high that I think collectively it's going to be a brilliant games. I think Paris are going to do a wonderful job. They've got the scenery and the backdrop, haven't they? The Eiffel Tower and all these wonderful things across the Parisian city. And I can't wait. I'm very much looking forward to it. And it's the best sporting spectacle in the world, in my opinion. Not the World Cup in football. We want the Olympics. That's what we're talking about.
And of course, you got to compete in 2 Olympic Games, Atlanta and Sydney. So they must be 2 of your massive life highlights.
Oh, 100%. My first in Atlanta 1996 was an interesting experience, shall we say, Robin. I was a shorter sprinter at that point, running 200 meters, and I went there, and it was interesting. You know, we had bus drivers in Atlanta not knowing where they were going, getting lost on the way to the Olympic Stadium. Not the best preparation. They clearly needed an OS map in terms of a US version to get us from our hotel to the track. So he only had one job, Robin, and we used to get lost on the bus going to the stadium, which wasn't the best preparation. But no, Sydney was a lot different. They didn't get us lost on the way to the track. And I ran in one of the most iconic Olympic finals ever in that women's 400 meters, with Katharine winning, and then little old me from rugby in Warwickshire picking up a bronze medal in a very, very big, important race.
And you also became the fastest woman in the world, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, this is a long time ago, because I can't run for a bus now in any shape or form. I just go out walking with my map. But no, I was the fastest woman in the world the following year after Sydney, over 400 meters. And it was something I'm still am very, very, very proud of. My kids don't care. They're Robin. It's, you know, they said I didn't even win the Olympics and I can't run fast anymore, but that's kids for you. But no, it was a brilliant experience. And one of my sporting highlights was winning a medal at the Olympics.
So 2024 in Paris, is it going to be a good year for Team GB then?
It always is. It always is. When a Team GB not up in the medal table, the swimmers set us off because they start the Olympics. Then we get the cycling going, and then the second week we get track and field and all the other sports. And it is going to be a very, very good year. I'm really, really, really looking forward to it.
Well, Katharine, if people want to check out any more information on the walks that we talked about earlier, or find out about map reading and stuff like that, where can they go to?
Getoutside.co.uk, and it will give you all the information, family activities, talking about those map reading skills, get involved about the walks, take that quiz. How good are you at reading a map, really? If you're not that good, you can be better, and get outside and have some fun, right? We need to keep everybody active.
Well, you've inspired me to get out into the countryside. Katharine, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Robin. Love to Belfast. Take care.
Okay, so from Olympic legends to a world gravy wrestling champion legend now, and the guy who's won the championships not once, not twice, but 6 times. He's a record breaker. He's Joel Hicks, and he joins us now on the line. Joel, how are you, sir?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So tell me about the World Gravy Wrestling Championships then. How does one get involved in something like this?
I run a charity foundation called Always With a Smile, and we take part in all of the crazy, outrageous events that go on in the UK. And many a year ago, I think I read an article online about people trying to do a gravy wrestling competition up in Wigan. So I thought, well, that sounds a bit of a laugh. I'll go up and have a go. And it was in a supermarket car park. There was a handful of us there and just the odd shopper walking past and throwing a few odd coins into a bucket. But we had a great time, just raising a bit of money for East Lancashire Hospice. I didn't really think much of it. And then the next year, the Rose and Bowl pub in Stackstead in Lancashire got involved. It's a really, really nice pub. We went, and the event has really just grown from strength to strength ever since. We've done sort of multiple TV shows all across the world. We have competitors fly in from all over the globe. We have a women's tournament. The kids get involved some years, and it's just one great laugh, people having fun and raising money at the same time.
And are there rules to this game then?
Supposedly you do get awarded points for takedowns and holds, but it's not a traditional sort of 1, 2, 3 tap. It's more about crowd reaction, comedy, the costume that you wear, and just having a bit of fun involved. It has to be said that people that bear their flesh tend to get quite far in the competition. It's been known in both the men's and the women's. But yeah, it's just about having a good crack on the day. And if you can have a laugh, you're in with a shout.
Now, you're wrestling in cold gravy. That can't be very nice.
No, one year they tried an onion-based gravy, and that got in people's eyes and caused a bit of an issue. But it does get kind of warm. They have literally litres, thousands of litres of barrels of gravy set up around the arena, just to pour in every now and again. And on a few occasions, I've actually been tossed headfirst into the vats. And believe you me, they are quite warm at certain times.
Now, this year's championships are taking place on the 28th of August. Is there still time for people to register and get involved if they want to?
Yeah, you can turn up. You can contact the Rose and Bowl pub, or you can contact us online. Say there's a male and a female tournament. You get the opportunity to wrestle through several rounds. We even have a Royal Rumble event where everybody gets involved. Generally, yeah, we take on all comers. So whether you're big, small, round, tall, it's just about getting involved and having a good crack.
And of course, as you mentioned earlier, there is a charity element to this as well, isn't there?
The main charity is East Lancashire Hospice. Some people also raise money for other good causes. I mean, it's one of those events which is sadly sort of declining in the UK these days, but it's a real example of community spirit. I mean, we raise around £4,000 each year for East Lancashire Hospice, which is a wonderful charity. It's really needed. So, even if you don't fancy yourself as a wrestler, just come and take part, come and watch, come and contribute, because it's all for a good cause.
And if people do want some more information, is there a website they can click onto?
If you type in Gravy Wrestling on Google, you'll come across a fair few pictures and see what it is. Or just contact the Rose and Bowl pub in Stackstead, and they will tell you all about it.
And what do you reckon your chances are this year then?
Well, I've just had a couple of operations. I may have one more before I actually do the event, so probably not great. But we'll give it a go. You never know. I mean, as a six-time winner, it is very tiring, I have to say. Like you might not think that it's let's say, requires any fitness or athleticism, but 2 minutes in the gravy, most people are hanging after about 30 seconds, and you just really have to grab on and hope for the best. But it is. People's lungs are literally coughing up gravy by the end of it.
Now, sadly, I'm going to be in Tenerife at the end of August, so I'm not going to make it for this year's championships, but I do promise I'll be there next year.
Well, I'll hold you to that.
Well, Joel, it's been great talking to you, and the very best of luck with this year's World Gravy Wrestling Championships.
Thank you, my man. Best of luck.
Right, still to come on this week's show, we'll be chatting to singer-songwriter Brad Henshaw, but before that, broadcasting legend George Jones joins us on the show next.
Founded on the principles of inclusivity, empowerment and positivity, I Am Beauty sponsors Robin Elliott Tonight.
Here we are on the North Coast, where sporting legends are made. He needs this putt to advance to the next stage, but can he do it? The crowd are holding their breath. Can he cope with the pressure?
Dad, would you take the shot?
Yes!
Yeah.
Well.
Founded on the principles of inclusivity, empowerment and positivity, I Am Beauty sponsors Robin Elliott Tonight.
Right, my next guest is somebody who's always welcome on the show. He's been a top radio star, television presenter. Of course, he's famous for his fabulous comedy cabaret group, Club Sound, as well. He's still going strong, and he's got a book out called Amazed as well. It's George Jones. How are you?
Robin, brilliant to be here. I'm like part of the wallpaper here.
You are, but it's always good to see you. And you know what? There's no sign of you slowing down.
I was talking to a guy, funny enough, yesterday, and he particularly said to me, how are you doing this? Because I can't. I says, well, show business people have this wonderful drug that's already inbuilt in their body, and it's adrenaline.
Yeah.
And if you can keep the adrenaline flowing, it services every part of the body, apart from the muscles. I mean, those stairs of yours walking up, it's like a workout.
Tell me about it, I do it every day.
You know, but I'm thinking of coming over here every day instead of going to the gym. Just go up and see Robin and do your workout.
So many fabulous stories in the book and so many fabulous things that have happened to you. But what do you miss the most?
I would never give music up in some shape or form, but one of the prime times of my life was broadcasting. And I'll tell you, the reason why I miss radio so much is I miss all my friends on radio. I felt like yourself, you know the feeling. You get this affinity, you know, with people. Part of the fun of the live radio scenario, you felt as if you're a friend to so many people, and people coming up to you in the street and saying, look, listen to you today, thanks for keeping me company, etc., etc., etc. And when I look back on the radio years, especially in BBC, I mean, my ex-producer and I were having coffee one time, and we had a wee bit of a debate. I reckon I lifted about close on £750,000, if not £1 million, for children in need.
Brilliant, yes.
Over about 14 years, you know, doing the auction and thing. And when you break it down into what you did over those years, we did 10 years every Christmas week in the Ulster Hall, featuring all the wee live acts that I found on the phone. The kids, older people, all came and we gave them a concert. They said, there's the stage in the Ulster Hall, do it. Did that for about 15 years. And when you work it all out in that sort of years, it was a total gift to do that. Plus, for my own satisfaction, the people I met
But exactly.
I met some, like yourself, Robin.
I remember coming into the studio bringing Bonnie Tyler in to see you.
Correct. I was trying to work it out for the book. I couldn't do it. I should have done it, kept a note of it, and kept a load of the interviews. But I reckon I've interviewed about over 300 top names.
Who was your favourite?
My favourite, probably, there's a vast contrast. One of my favourites was Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah.
Bonnie wouldn't do interviews either, and neither did Dionne Warwick. I think I told you the story about Dionne Warwick. Those were two top ones, but I put a wee thing up on Facebook the other day that I found a photograph with the 4 tops.
Yes,
And
brilliant.
I actually sang with them because it was a live radio show.
Wow.
You know, interviewed Johnny Mathis, Howard Keel, David Gates of Bread, Meatloaf.
Everybody has fond memories of you on the radio, whether it be the wind-up phone calls you did, or Sadie coming on
200 or
all the time
300
as
of those
well.
I did.
You
I
know,
wish I'd have kept them,
They were massive. When the day came that they told you had to go, that must have been absolutely devastating for you.
Well, it was a shock. First and foremost, the statistics didn't weigh up to it, because I had thousands of listeners. I'd just done a lot of TV. I'd won a Gold Sonny Award. Everything was working out fine, and I was obviously independent to the BBC. And the boss of my company went in, just renewed the contract. A new head of programs had started, and he just turned around and says, "I'm not renewing George's contract." It was as simple as that. And he rang me, the boss rang me, and he says, "George, they're not going to renew your contract." And I said, "What have I done wrong?" And of course, the story, you know yourself, Robin, and it all came out later on that apparently it was nothing to do with my performance nor my figures, but I was being made room for a friend to come in.
Exactly.
And I was there for 21 years. He was there for 3, I think. And, because Jerry had been there for nearly 20 years, Walter Love had been there for nearly 30 years, John Bennett was on. And when you weigh it all up, you don't get rid of somebody if they're successful.
No, exactly.
And it changed my whole life. Yeah. Honestly, it really did. We had to sell our home, and because I never expected it to happen, and suddenly, bang, you're out of work. Yeah. And it did. It was I go into it in some detail, but I'm not prepared to name names. It's done and it's over. It's water under the bridge. And you know yourself, Robin, I became a Christian about 7 years ago, and the art of forgiveness is upon me now. Yeah. So. But what it did to my family is what I sort of can't forgive before. For me, losing my job, that was fine. That's okay. But I went on to other radio stations, and I had a successful 6 or 7 years at U105. Then I did a couple of years for dear rest him, lovely Eddie West.
Yes, of course.
Who's no longer with us, asked me to come down. And that's where I started in the 70s. So it was like complete circle. But today, I still get people coming up to me and saying, "Why are you not in the radio?" It's the same as you, Robin.
Exactly, we get it as well. But radio has changed.
Oh, totally, and we have to allow for that.
And if we were on the air today, we wouldn't have been allowed to do the things that we did back then.
No, absolutely not. Although, I have to tell you, there's a craving for it.
There is.
And you know what the craving is under the title of? Entertainment.
Exactly.
Especially in Northern Ireland, where people like to laugh at what they know. You know yourself, we did 21 years in the waterfront with the show bands. Yeah. That had to stop. Because all the show band stars, the originals were all dying off, bless them. And we couldn't put on a proper show. Yeah. We carried on with a rock and roll musical simply because I feel people loved that era. Yeah. They loved 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe into the 80s, but after that, there was a big change starting.
And last time you sat there, you told me it was the end of the rock and roll show.
No. Well, we actually, we didn't publicly declare it, but we said, look, this is probably the last one at the end of the shows. Now we're getting because the people we were talking about are still able to come out, and even if they come out once a year, just to hear that music that they can't hear on radio, right? They'll come out. Yeah. So the promoter David Hull took us all out to dinner. It was to thank us for 6-7 years of doing it, and he says, "What do you think? Would we give it one more go, because the response has been amazing?" So Club Sound have decided, as the backing band, it's not Club Sound show now, as you know, because there's 4 great singers on it. Yeah. We just provide the music. We've agreed to do that, and then David asked us, because we did a show in the Strand, bringing variety back to the Strand, we have decided, or he has decided, to bring Roy Walker back, Jimmy Cricket, Dana, people like that, to bring variety, even if it's a couple of nights. So I've got permission of my boss in the Elvis Spectacular, as long as it doesn't encroach it. But that's what I'm doing now, folks. Yeah, me backing Elvis. That's incredible. You know, I don't think any Elvis's band was my age at any particular time.
I've never had Kieran on the show. He has to come on and do the show. I have to get him on.
He's a superb artist.
Yeah.
And I have never, to be honest with you, I've never rated people who, not tribute, but try to emulate somebody as big as Elvis, you know. But he does it to perfection.
He does.
And he introduced a new suit at the weekend, which is another fortune he spends on the tiger suit with inlays of tiger skin.
Oh, brilliant.
We were in Dublin and went down an absolute storm, but we've dates in for the whole year and next year as well. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. The book's up on Amazon if anybody wants to look at the life, but it's like a book of reinventing, Robin. You've done this yourself. You've had to reinvent yourself. And I had to reinvent after coming off radio and after coming off Club Sound. But the biggest reinvention for us all, of course, was the shock treatment of COVID.
Yes.
And during COVID, I decided to write that.
Yeah.
And during COVID, I was still bored. You know what it's like for a musician. You're going, there's only so many times you can play the guitar yourself in the house. And I remember about 7 or 8 years ago, my darling sister who left us last year was my mentor all my life. She had kept drawings that I had done when I was 14. Now that's over 60 years, Rob.
Yes,
she kept those in a brown envelope. And her husband sadly died, so she was clearing a few things out in the house. She brought me the envelope. And I said, that's wonderful, but, you know, that was then.
Yes,
I did a year, this is really old folks, believe me, a correspondence course. You're probably even too young to remember it.
Yeah.
Used to do exams by post.
Okay.
If you couldn't afford to go to universities or anything, they had correspondence stuff.
Right,
you know.
yeah.
So they said your tests and they said your tutorials. And I took a year's tutorial at art because I love drawing cartoons.
Yes, yeah.
I only advanced to the stage of how to sketch and how to shade in, and then music took over through it all the way.
Yeah.
But she kept those sketches that I had done, and when COVID kicked in, I was opening the cupboard and I said, that's those sketches. My sister brought me up and started painting them, started colouring them in, bought more paints, somebody else bought me more paints, somebody bought me paintbrushes, more canvases. And Robin, I have painted paintings that I had never have dreamt that I thought I could do.
Wow.
I sit and look at some of them now and I say, I didn't do that.
We've got some of your work appearing on the screen right now, some fabulous paintings.
Yeah.
I believe, you're getting commissions from across the world and everything.
Well, it's the odd time. The odd time, I am certainly not a total renowned artist, honestly, by any means. Maybe when I buy someone when I die, then I might be famous. Don't wait on me dying, please, because I'm not going yet. But, you know, I do it as a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it brings, I've given more paintings away than I've sold because I felt that if it brings back a memory, people have asked me to paint a place they grew up. They've asked me to paint a flower that represents, or a robin.
Yes. Yeah.
A loved one has left and they loved robins, the odd time a dog. But I paint mainly landscapes and stuff that I see in photographs that I take. And if it makes people happy, that's the reinvention again. In the book, I state that my life, I feel I've been given a God-given life to make people happy. And there's me thinking during COVID, that was all coming to an end. And then I started the art, and the art is now making people happy. I've joined a few art groups around the world where you sort of put your art up on international. And I remember doing, funny enough, your name, and you should have given it to you. Robin. It was a robin, which I think I've given you one of the things. It's looking at a reflection of itself in the lake.
Yes, of course, yes.
Right,
yeah.
or in the whatever water it's in. And I happened to put this up on a world site called I Am an Artist. They allowed me to join it. I told them I was self-taught and all. I had 1,400 likes.
Wow.
From around the world. And
that's brilliant.
That's like a passport, Robin. When you see, my goodness, there's a woman in Kuala Lumpur who loves my painting, or somebody in Brazil, you know, whatever. But then you get the scammers on.
Yes.
And they're going and saying, I can get you thousands if you just join this thing that I have, and it's £500 or $500 a painting.
Exactly, yes, yeah.
And you gradually learn all these things,
exactly,
you know.
Yeah.
But my life is just, it keeps on going, Robin. I am so blessed. And people like yourself who find it interesting is wonderful. And it took me long enough to write that book because I felt people would be interested in it. But Morris Wiley Publications, bless him, he hounded me till I got it done, you know. And what it is, it's also from a slight Christian point of view, that if it inspires people, or people who are in despair or depression, or worried about maybe needing to become a Christian or be a religious person or believe in what they feel is God, That he has stood by me, and I didn't know it until about 7 years ago, that I had never thanked him for all the gifts that he had given me to be able to do all the stuff you're talking about. Because it's just, I mean, cruise ships, QE2, playing around the world.
Amazing.
To East Belfast, Greenville Street, beside the roadworks, you know what I mean? It doesn't come any more base level than that, you know. Outside toilet, especially in the winter with shiny magazines. You know, I hated that. No light on it. But you could just tell the story. And there's not just me, there's a lot of people started like that as well. And Belfast is so rich in that, you know. So
before we finish, I want to talk music once again, because over the years on your radio shows, you give so many young artists their first big break.
Yep.
You had to play local music in your show, and you did that. Who are you listening to at the minute? Do you still keep in contact? You still keep up with what's happening?
I was like yourself. As soon as I was given a contract for a particular an afternoon program with her, I said yes, but there's got to be a platform. Yeah. And I called them different names in different stations. I didn't get the chance when I was young, Robin. It was a hard slog. Even Van. When we were all together, Van Morrison and myself and the boys of the Monarchs, we had to make our own way. There was nobody would even have dreamt of putting you on radio or anything like that. And here's me sitting with a good platform, and I've given so many people great starts, and I love it to see them blossoming and taking off now. The one I'm looking at the moment is there's a sort of family connection, because my niece and her husband managed, and they found this young lad busking in the street. And that's Paul Martin. He's brilliant. And I think he is just, what a find for Belfast. He is now played in Russia. He's just back from Chicago, the big blues club there, at about 5 or 6 dates. He's going on the Joe Bonamassa blues cruise by invitation. And he's played the 100 Club in London about 3 times. All his English dates are completely sold out. And my niece found this young lad, and he wasn't in the best state. He had had a hard life, you know what I mean? And they mentored him, took him on, and his whole life has changed. And that's just through giving a person a start. Yeah. And there was a young lad the other day too on with us called Zach Mack.
Brilliant.
And I had never heard of him before. And I turned around to his father and I says, these are the times when you wish you had a radio show.
Yes,
you know, where you could launch somebody like that again, you know, but we haven't got it. And sadly, nobody's doing it on radio.
Exactly.
Only yourself.
Only me, on the telly.
Only you. But you're a talisman. I mean, you're flying the flag for it. Yeah. And we've got to bring out new talent in the country, not let them lie and get dusty and try and beg for work. You know, let's show the people of the world, because we've had 30 years of bad press.
Exactly,
you know,
yes.
So let's show what comes out. I mean, look at us, what had come out of Belfast already. You know what I mean? Gary Muir, Van Morrison, stacks of them, but they're still out there. Yeah. And this fella, Don Martin, is going to, I'm telling you, he's going to be a big, big star.
Brilliant. I must get him back on the show sometime soon. Talking about fabulous artists, another friend of yours is on the way with some new music, a guy called Brad Henshaw.
Oh, Brad!
I've been chatting to him during the week, so we're going to feature some of his new songs and play the interview in a couple of minutes. But in the meantime,
that
George,
came in through radio as well.
Yeah.
Meeting Brad, and we became good friends as well.
Exactly. Well, you know, he's on the show as well. George, good to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for everything, Robin, and I hope they find it interesting.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Founded on the principles of inclusivity, empowerment and positivity, I Am Beauty sponsors Robin Elliott Tonight.
Let the good times roll at Super Strikes at the Jet Centre. You can now book your lane online. We've got 14 bowling lanes and 4 mini bowling lanes. Plus we serve delicious hot food and snacks, or enjoy a cold beverage with your food after the game. Discover bowling today at the Jet Centre. Jet Centre, entertainment for everyone.
Founded on the principles of inclusivity, empowerment and positivity, I Am Beauty sponsors Robin Elliott Tonight.
lone star rising in the western sky. Bite your lip, pay the tip, and I'm at the bar and I'm feeling alright. From the hip, hey baby, and don't you know that you're one of my kind? And she was sipping on a long neck beer with a Dallas cheerleader smile. She'll kick you harder than a long horse steer, burn you like a prairie fire, like a lone star rising on the Texas sky. A lone star rising in the western sky. Keep on shining and shine your light. I'm a lone star rising, got you in my sights. Keep on shining. Keep on shining. Come on, baby, won't you dance with me? Or anything your heart desires. My snake boots and a new shirt.
So there we go, such a great song that is currently flying up the Heritage charts. That's called Lone Star from Brad Henshaw, and I'm pleased to say he joins us now. Brad, how are you today?
I'm good, Robin. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So I believe you're somebody who knows Belfast very well, aren't you?
Oh, I love Belfast. I've been there a few times. I love it very much.
Now, we had the legendary broadcaster George Jones on the show earlier on. George is somebody you know very well, isn't he?
Oh, George, yeah. I mean, me and George go back a long way. And yeah, I haven't seen George for such a long time, but we were just talking off air, Robin. And yeah, George is really, he's a great guy. I love the guy to bits. And, years ago, I've done a show called Heart and Soul with George, and he's a big supporter of mine, and I'm a big supporter of him. And I know he's a legend in Belfast, you know.
I believe the last time you were here in Belfast, you were doing the Blues Brothers show at the Grand Opera House.
Yeah, I played at the Opera House many, many times, and been there with Blues Brothers, been there with Rocky Horror, and love Belfast, and sampled the delights of many of the fine establishments, and had many great nights in Belfast. Loved it so many times.
Now tell me about this new country route that you're going down. Lone Star is a great song. So what's the kind of story and background to it?
Many musicians, they sort of come full circle, really. And, my dad was a pianist. My mum was a singer. And there was always music in my house, when I was a kid. And 69, my parents moved to Canada. And my dad used to play in all the pubs around the Midlands, because that's kind of where I grew up. And in 69, we moved to Canada, and my dad discovered Glenn Campbell. And so when we got there, we had a record player, and he bought the Galveston album by Glenn Campbell. So I was a kid, but that album never left the turntable. So then he started learning, Galveston, Wichita Lineman, and, by the time I get to Phoenix. So he started to learn and play those songs. And it kind of went into my psyche, And so then I went through, the period that you do as a young fella, and, kind of liking my own sort of stuff. And I got into punk stuff and all that kind of thing. But as I kind of got older, I started to appreciate my own stuff. And I like the Eagles, and I kind of like the West Coast kind of thing. But about 12 years ago, I kind of, started to appreciate a lot more of the roots of kind of the country thing and what my dad was into. I really went back to Campbell and kind of discovered that again, and found the love of that. And I've always been a writer. I've always wrote music. I've always wrote songs, and found that I really had a penchant for really getting into that. So I moved to the US myself 10 years ago. I live in a place called North Carolina now, between there and the UK. So I live about 9 hours from Nashville. So it made sense really to get into that genre of music. It made sense to write in that vein. So that's where I'm at, and I very much enjoy what I do. I'm an Americana country writer, Americana country singer. You know, I write for a couple of artists at the moment, but really that's the vein I'm in now. That's where I write. It's age appropriate as well. You know, for where I am, I like what I do, and I'm very much enjoying life at the moment in that part of the world and where I am musically.
Now, you've worked with many music legends down through the years, everybody like Rod Stewart to Shirley Bassey to UB40. The list is endless, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who work with a lot of great artists. I've been fortunate in many respects that I've crossed paths with those guys. And you know, as I said, my musical career really started in the Midlands. And at the time when UB40 and the Fine Young Cannibals were cutting their teeth, I was mixed up with a bunch of musicians that were working with both bands. And I was one of those guys, you know, was fortunate enough that we were kind of cross-pollinated between UB40 and the Fine Young Cannibals. So that really worked for me. Another great singer from the Midlands was Ruby Turner. I worked with her, doing backing vocals and then doing support with her. But then I worked with a couple of great writers. One of them was a guy named Simon Darlow, who wrote Slaves to the Rhythm for Grace Jones. And we got a choir in to work on a track. And it was the London Community Gospel Choir. And Basil Mead, who was the choir master, he said to me, have you ever worked with a choir? And I said, no, you know. And he said, well, you should come and do that. And I said, well, I'm a rock and roll singer, you know. It's not what I do. And he said, well, it doesn't matter. I think that you should come and work with us because it'd be good for you. And I said, great. So I didn't really know or think too much of that. But about 4 weeks later, I was walking around the laminate section of a very well-known furniture company from Sweden. I won't promote them. And I got a phone call from Basil, who said to me, what are you doing next Friday? And I said, not much, you know. And he said to me, well, you're going to go and do the MTV Awards singing backing vocals for Sean Combs and Whitney Houston. I was looking at the laminate flooring. And he said to me, so you've got to go and do some rehearsals for a week. And that was in Dublin at the Point. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, you know. And he said, so, you know, we need your passport. And I couldn't believe it. So that started a journey working with LCGC, London Community Gospel Choir, which in turn, they were the choir to work with because they'd done back vocals for Richard Ashcroft, Rod Stewart, you name it. You know, they were working with all these different bands. So that really helped, you know, working with U2 and working with all these different bands. So that was an incredible start to working with some of the, you know, the biggest names in the world, you know.
Now, you mentioned Glenn Campbell earlier on. Of course, Jimmy Webb, he wrote lots of Glenn's big hits. He gave you a big compliment as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I mean, you know, Jimmy is a very interesting guy. And, you know, that's another story in itself. And, you know, after my dad passed, I told you the story about him being, you know, liking Glenn and stuff and all that. After my dad passed, I found myself at a bit of a loose end. And a friend of mine was in town and a great pianist. And then I wanted to record a Glenn track in honor of my dad, you know. And so we done a version of Wichita Lineman, a very different version than the Glenn Campbell version. So it was a very slow version of that. And so we recorded it. And a friend of mine put some strings on it. And I wasn't there for him to do that, but he sent it to me. And I had a couple of whiskeys one night, and he sent it to me, and I was listening to it. And I sent it to a music lawyer friend of mine who just happened to know Jimmy Webb's wife. And he sent me her email address and said, send it to Jimmy Webb's wife. So I did the following night. And I went to bed, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from Jimmy Webb's wife who said to me, who are you? I said, I'm an artist who recorded that track. And she said, well, Jimmy never listens to people doing cover versions of his tracks, but he's listening to that. And, you know, we're coming to Bridgnorth in the UK. And is that where you are? And I said, yeah. She said, well, we'd like to meet you, you know. So I went to Bridgnorth, and Robert Plant's then girlfriend was on tour with Jimmy. And I got to meet with Jimmy Webb, and who wrote all Glenn Campbell's hits. So this circle came around, and Jimmy said to me that, you know, when he wrote all these hits for Glenn, he was, you know, a young songwriter who'd never really had a hit at that point. And then Glenn took these songs, but they were just songs. They weren't country songs. They were just songs.
Yeah.
And Glenn sang them, and the minute he sang them, they became country songs. So Glenn had the hits, and that was brilliant. But Jimmy had just wrote them as songs. And he said that was the interesting thing about what you'd done to this song. It was you just took it back to being a song.
Yeah.
So he said, would you be interested in just doing an album of my songs back the way they were? Because everybody who ever sang them, they were singing them country songs, you know, Willie Nelson, everybody. So I said, yeah. And he said, well, why don't you record them and then send them to me and let me executively produce an album? So that's what we did. We recorded 10 Jimmy Webb classics. We sent them every time to Jimmy, and he produced them, said, do this, do this, do this. So I've got an album of 10 Jimmy Webb classics, unreleased, executively produced by Jimmy, that is, again, waiting for a label, you know.
Well, I'm going to finish off by playing a version of a Jimmy Webb song that you've recorded, Wichita Lineman, one of my favourite songs of all time. Your version is slightly different. I think it's great. We're going to finish off the show with it tonight. Brad, it's been great talking to you. Thank you for joining us.
God bless you.
So that's all we've time for on the show this week. To play us out with a Jimmy Webb classic, and of course a song made famous by the late great Glenn Campbell, is Brad Henshaw and his version of Wichita Lineman. See you next week. Bye-bye.
I am a lineman for the county, and I drive the main roads, searching in the sun for another overload. I hear you singing in the wire, through the wine, and the Wichita lineman is still on the line. I know I need a small vacation, but it don't look like rain. And if it snows, that stretch down south won't ever stand the strain. And I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time.
Founded on the principles of inclusivity, empowerment and positivity, I Am Beauty sponsors Robin Elliott Tonight.